God bless everybody. God bless everyone that's watching on YouTube. I hope everything is well with you and your families. I just wanted to share something real quick this morning. It was about a dream that I had a couple of nights ago about me walking through the wilderness. Now, I don't remember exactly everything from the beginning to the end on both dreams. I actually had two of them. So I'm just going to explain the important part of the dream. So I was walking through this city, right? And this city seemed to have a mixture of streets, and it was as if the behind the city there was wilderness. So you ended up walking from the city, and a few feet away from, let's say, a sidewalk or a building, there would be nothing but trees and a path to go into the woods, which I found very strange. I'm like, okay. So in the dream, I was walking through the city, and I looked to my left side, and for some reason I actually had to get off the sidewalk and walk towards the wilderness, where I would only see the trees and a dirt path. So I said, okay, well, in order for me to get to the other side, I have to walk through this wilderness. I have to come down this road. When I started looking at the road that I had to take, I started to analyze it, and it was dark. It was a little scary, actually. And as I started to walk down this path, I started to hear werewolves. I started to hear them. And the further in I walked, the more I would get closer and closer to the sounds of these werewolves. And I would feel their presence. So I started getting scared in the dream, and I said, wow, I can't continue walking any further, because these creatures are gonna end up killing me. They're gonna rip me apart, and they're gonna end with me. So, but I was determined to get to the other side, as if something was telling me, you have to get to the other side. No matter what happens, no matter what you have to go through, you must walk down this path, and you have to overcome it and get to the other side. So that's what I did. So I kept walking, it started getting darker and darker, and there was nothing but trees around me. And it was so scary, because I would feel the presence of these werewolves as if there were many of them surrounding me. And their noises got louder and louder, and it was a terrible feeling. So finally I get to the other side safely, even though I was scared, and I started to run, because I felt as if they were gonna eat me. Wherever they were, I didn't see them, but I could feel them and hear them. But I kept running till I got to the other side. When I got to the other side, it was a big building. It was like projects, and I went into one of the buildings, and I ended up in an apartment where there was a family up there. And I don't know what was going on up there, but all I know is that I tried to explain to them the situation and what was outside waiting for them. They didn't believe me, and it became more like an altercation between me and the family. And I said, you know what, I'm just leaving. I guess my job was to warn them. I didn't know what was the purpose of me going up there, but I ended up coming back down. And again, I had to cross through that same path that I just came from to get back to the other side, which is where I first started, in the city. So I said to myself, wow, it's getting darker, it's getting late, I really can't see, and I need to hurry up. Where as long as there's maybe some daylight out here, I can hurry up and try to get around them. But again, I was scared, because I kept hearing them. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm gonna die. So eventually I walked through the path again, and I made it to the other side of the city, and that was pretty much it. When I got to the other side, I just kept walking, and I had like another destination I had to go to. I think the sun started coming down, it started getting dark, and I said, well, I have to be somewhere at a certain time, so let me hurry up and get there. Now, I don't remember what happened after that, but I woke up. Then I had another dream. This one was, I was at a park, and there was things like certain things going on. It was just like weird stuff. Like I ended up at the supermarket, then I ended up back in the park. It was just like, dream was just a little a little off. But anyways, so the important part of this dream was that I was at the park, and the park had a lot of hills. And there was a portion where of the park where there was like a bridge that you had to cross to also get on the other side of the park. And I had to cross that bridge, and when I crossed the bridge, you know, I would see animals on the floor, like turtles and dogs and like puppies and stuff like that. I don't know why there were so many animals, but I just seen them all, and I just kept like walking over them or going around them to, you know, just finish walking down the bridge. And finally, when I get to the end of the bridge, there was no more land to walk on. So my destination was to go across the park to the other side where there was more land. And in the middle of that, there was like a pond of water. And I said, wait, I have no boat. I have nothing at all to actually, you know, to get to the other side. And this was like a large distance. And I said to myself, well, how am I going to get to the other side? So I'm looking down at the water where I'm standing at, and I kept looking at the other side where the grassy part is. I'm like, how am I going to get there? And then that's when I woke up. So the interpretation that I received from these two dreams, when I started thinking about it, analyzing, and just thinking, and it's, you know, within myself, I said, well, God, you know, what does this mean? So I got the interpretation that the first dream was the werewolves that I was hearing and feeling that I could not see with my physical eyes symbolize werewolf demons, their spirits. And what do werewolves do? Right? So we started thinking about like the movies, Hollywood. Not only that, but testimonies of Christians that actually went to hell and see these beings that actually exist down there and torment and torture people. So I started thinking about all these things, and I'm like, okay, so these werewolf spirits, these demons, gonna come a time in my life, which is probably soon, they're going to interfere with my spiritual life. And they're gonna try to do their best to destroy me in any way possible, just to see me dead. Whether it's physically or spiritually or both. That's what they do. You know, that's what werewolves do. They want to kill you, they want to destroy you. It's kind of like when they say in the Bible, talking about Satan, when the lion is roaming looking to steal, kill, and destroy. Very similar to that. So that's what these demons will try to do in my life, and of course in the life of others. All demons try to do that to us. That's their job. But these type of demons are, I would say, very strong. They're strong demons, okay? Because the werewolves are extremely strong. They're strong, giant demons that are ruthless, that are vicious, and that will do that to my life, or will attempt to try to do that to my life in order to knock me down, so I cannot move forward any longer. Not only that, but when I was walking down that path, I wasn't walking with a group of people. I was walking by myself. Meaning, in other words, I can't bring nobody with me through these trials and tribulations and through these attacks that I will be receiving from Satan. See, you cannot bring your family sometimes. You cannot bring your friends sometimes. You can't bring people, even your Christian brothers and sisters in Christ. You can't bring them with you, because this is something you have to go through in order for you to grow spiritually with the Lord. Now, what it is exactly, I can only imagine. But I took this as a warning and as a wake-up call, like this is what's going to happen in order for you to grow. Because I had to cross that path. I had to walk that path and go through all that fear and loneliness, I would say, just to get to the other side where I had to go, right? And as far as the family, I'm not too sure about what that is, but that family had issues of their own in the dream, and I was just, I guess, adding on to them. But at the same time, I was actually, my job was to warn them. So our job as Christians are to warn people, no matter who they are, what family they have, or where they come from, about the coming of Christ. And no matter how messed up their situation is, they're probably going to reject you and attack you, but you did your job. Just like I was doing my job in the dream. They didn't want to listen, but I did my job. I preached the word. I told them what it was, whether they liked it or not. And that's what we have to do, regardless what, that we're going through our own situation. We're going through our own spiritual attack. Like I was going through in the dream, I still have to think about others before myself, and put them before me, and put God's desires before mine, and just do the will of God, and just preach the word. Regardless I'm being attacked, doesn't matter which way or however, I have to still cross that path, go through what I have to go through, and still preach the word. And then once I'm done with my mission, then I have to cross back over to the other side where God wants me to be. And that was the interpretation that was given to me as I was meditating on this and asking the Lord what this means. So that was the interpretation of the first dream. Now, after all that I was going through in that dream, the second dream was actually a symbolism of the aftermath of what would happen after I have completed my mission, after I have stood firm through my trial and tribulation, through all the attacks. What was going to happen afterwards? As far as me being in the park and standing there looking at the water, asking myself, but how am I going to get to the other side? There's no way I can get to the other side. Now, mind you, I can't even swim in real life, so in the dream I guess I couldn't swim either. But the whole point of this was that the interpretation that I received from the Lord was that my faith is going to increase so much after I go through the hell that I have to go through after doing His will, that I would have to walk on those waters in order to get to the other side. And that was just a symbolism of how much my faith is going to increase and grow. And that's powerful. That is beautiful. I didn't even think about it like that, because when I had the dreams and I woke up and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, but the park, like, what does like, I wasn't even thinking about it. To me, that dream was just not so important as the first one. It really just didn't capture my attention as much. And I don't really dream often. When I do dream, that means it's a warning that something is going to happen or something is happening. That's when I dream. That's why I pay attention to my dreams, because I'm like, I really don't ever dream, ever. If I do dream and it's just, it's just one of those crazy dreams because you actually were probably really tired, or maybe you just had a lot on your mind, those type of dreams are different. But when I have these type of dreams, I know there's always something behind it. There's always a meaning. So I start to search, and I start to meditate, and I start to ask God, what does this mean? Can you please reveal it to me? And bam, he gives it to me right there and then. I'm like, wow. And it just keeps going and keeps going. I'm like, oh, so that's what that means. And that's what, it's amazing how God works. This is like, to me, this is powerful, because my goal is this year, as I had said before, my goal this year is to not only increase my faith, but to do the will of God and to grow spiritually. I want to get to another level, spiritually speaking. So, and I think this should be for everyone. Everyone should have that same intention and that same goal, whether it's this year, next year. We should just always have that in mind and always strive to do better and just not give up. Now, I've been through a whole lot that I could testify about, which I have not. I've gone through a lot. But sometimes we go through a lot because we put ourselves in those predicaments, I would say. And it wasn't from God. It just wasn't from God. And that we cause our own suffering. There's a verse in the Bible, actually, I think I was reading yesterday. I think we was reading that in church, actually. That God says that suffering for his cause is something that he wants. But suffering due to our own disobedience is not the suffering that he wants us to go through. And that is absolutely true. You know, we go through our own suffering because our own doing. And I don't want that. You know, I'm talking about my past. These are things that I've done that were mistakes, or just things that maybe I just didn't think too much about. And sometimes we even think that sometimes when we do certain things, it's not that they're sins, it's just that they're just not approved by God, and we just do them anyway. And then we see the results later, and we're like, oh, well, I should have never done that, or I should have asked permission first. And this is why it's so important to always include God in everything that we do, from the smallest to the biggest thing. And I'm learning more and more about that, even though I already know that. But sometimes we forget, and we tend to just go ahead and make decisions on our own before asking God, and that becomes an issue. So with that being said, that was my interpretation. That was the interpretation that God had told me, that had revealed to me about those dreams. And like I said, I was not thinking anything of the second one too much. But when I started asking God to reveal to me what this means, that's when it came. And so when I got the revelation of the second dream, quickly Peter came to my mind. And I'm like, wow, walking on water. I'm like, wouldn't that be beautiful and amazing? That your faith is so high. You have so much faith that you literally walk on water. And that is something that not everyone can say. I don't think I've met anyone that's walked on water. Of course, you've seen these shows, these magicians or whatever that supposedly say they can walk on water and float in the air and stuff like that. A lot of those things are edited. A lot of people believe it. There's always ways to do tricks, especially if it's through television and you're not actually there seeing it for yourself. And then some of them do things, but it's because of demonic influence, and they're involved with witchcraft and stuff like that. So it's not godly. So those things don't count. I'm talking about somebody that's a believer, someone that's a servant of God, and that has so much faith where they literally walked on water. And that is something so beautiful, so amazing. But the scriptures also says that Jesus said to us that we would do greater things on this earth. So it's not a surprise. That dream is not a surprise. It just kind of increased and boosted my faith, because God knows all things, and he knows the reason why he gives us dreams is to also give us a little boost and kind of let us know, like, hey, these things are possible still. These things are still possible in this century, because I am still the same God of yesterday, today, and I will always be the same God. So this is just something that I believe is the start of something. The devil knows very well everyone's intention, their desires, and the things that they do. So that's why we always have to be prepared and ready for whatever may happen, because we just don't know what will. And the Lord is so good and gracious that he sometimes gives us these dreams as warnings, and sometimes he reveals to us what it is that may happen, or what's coming, or how the devil will scheme his way to you. So with that, I'm gonna leave it at that. God bless everybody. I hope everyone has a blessed day. If you're having a rough morning, or if you're just not doing well for whatever reason, problems or such, then just remember that Jesus is always there, and all you have to do is just reach out to him, talk to him, ask him questions like a father, and he will respond. He will respond to you. We just got to open our hearts and, or open our ears to not only hear the word, but also receive the word and apply it to our lives. So God bless you guys. Amen. And until next time.